Okay, so here we go.
Yeah, you the model, the lawyer, the stewardess. Yeah. You the doctor, the dentist, you doing it. That's why they scared of.
What is up, Zach? How are you?
I am good.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on with Chats with V. I'm so excited. It has been a minute.
Yeah. You need your own call sign, like with V, like with the V in it. Something like.
Did I get it? What is this?
Well, that's from Star Trek. But we need to make up our own. It needs to be like a different V. Like that's kind of cool. Because it's like a check mark and a V. Anyways, just throwing that out there.
I'm gonna have to add that in there.
Kind of cool.
So this is exciting. Zach and I actually know each other from Groove Gear. When I was with the company back then, he's a Groove Gear artist. So for the fabulous people that do not know who you are, I'm just going to give just a tad bit of an intro. I have Mr. Zach Rudulph here. I love that name, by the way, Zach Rudulph.
Ooh. Man, I got so much crap for that last name when I was a kid. Are you kidding me?
I bet.
Especially now, during the holidays. We're recording this now, obviously, right near Christmas, and the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer jokes never quit. Never.
I mean, it's so tempting. It's so tempting to
Don't do it. I'll hang up. I'll turn it off right
now. So Zach Rudolph, he is a professional bass player who has performed in pretty much every genre: pop, hip hop, gospel, R&B, with artists like Gavin DeGraw, Queen Latifah, Calvi Collet, currently with Andy Grammer, right?
I think.
And then been on shows like Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, The Ellen Show. The list goes on and on. I mean, this guy is such a pro. He's so respected in the industry, and he is one of the coolest down-to-earth guys that I have met in the whole musicians industry. Like, it's so awesome. I'm glad to have you on this show. How are you?
You're so sweet. I'm like, who are you talking about? I want to know that.
I did my homework.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I could have gone on and on with the work that you have done, and I know that you do music producing. You're currently with Andy Grammer. I mean, you'll let me know how that whole situation is working out now, but producing music and a professional bass player. I know that you do background stuff, vocal backgrounds, and also just killing it in music,
thanks.
killing it with doing your thing.
This is sweet. I feel like the timing is funny, and it's awesome because my spirit probably needed it. But I'm at the place at the end of this year, and probably like a lot of you are feeling, a lot of people who may be listening are feeling, like, who am I? Like, what exactly do I do and offer and give, and what am I even good at? It's in a weird place because life's been crazy this year for everybody. But yeah, it's so strange because I've gone through all kinds of thoughts. I'm sure everybody else has. So currently, I'm kind of at I hate to say a negative mindset, but like negative because I'm always a pretty positive cat. But just like not down either. What am I trying to say?
Well, let's start with COVID, which is when I bring on musicians to the show, it generally is about what have you been up to during COVID? Because as performers, as people within the creative sphere, it's hit hard. It's hit really, really hard, as it has for the entire country. And even offline, we were talking about just small businesses that have had to shut down and people whose lives have been just uprooted because of the whole situation. But people in the creative especially, we rely on audiences, relying on shows and fans and things like that, and continuing to produce. Let's start with COVID. Like, when that whole thing happened, how did that hit you guys?
Yeah, so that's the downer vibe I think that I was trying to get to. Not necessarily negative, but like a bit of a downer.
Yeah, for sure.
When COVID first hit, the timing for me was interesting because we were already on a chill break, because I was at the time playing bass, performing often, regularly, music directing for Andy Grammer. And I've been doing that for 10 years. It's grown and grown and grown and grown, and it's been fun. And we had no end in sight. In fact, every year we were busier than the year before. Every year I was doing better than the year before as far as financially with him, and just all the stuff we were doing. We were doing cooler and cooler things, like TV appearances was normal and expected. Like, well, how many are we gonna do this year? It was kind of just like that was the way it was headed and going. And traveling all over was pretty normal. We were like, oh, we're gonna go back to Australia. This is supposed to happen, and all this is supposed to happen, and all these things. And which was exciting because I've been touring for a while and already hit all 50 states almost twice. I've only hit Alaska once, but most of them have hit almost twice.
Very cool.
So yeah, but then you're like, okay, where else can we try to go see? You know, so we were just starting to get out and do even more stuff internationally, and but the downturn was coming. We just finished a tour, which was really cool, and one of our best yet. So we were kind of on a high. Everything was great. Yeah. It was one of our best too, for the fan interaction and for the emotional, physiological well-being of like everybody. The band was really tight and close. Like our backstage hangs were super deep and thoughtful and all this stuff. And so it was a cool interaction because that played out on stage. People were really touched. It was more than just like pure pop show. It was actually some cool heart work going on.
Yeah.
So it was one of our best tours as far as that goes. And which I know was the dream and the desire of Andy's heart all along. So I felt like we were just starting to really hone in on how he wanted to have his show go. And but he was about to have a baby. That's the point. So he was about to have a second baby. And so we already knew. And his wife was like, you got to stop, because he's a yes man. They were like, let's go.
You need to be home. Okay.
Yeah, like, you got to be home. So come in, I think the baby was due in April or March, actually, the baby was due. So it was already chilling out, like things were coming in, but we were saying no. And like there was this plan to be at least not doing anything again until my timeline's off, but let's say we had the next gig wasn't until end of April, because he was going to take like baby time. And so when all this happened, I was like, oh, cool, no big deal. You guys, can't do stuff. I'm like, well, whatever. We weren't going to do much anyways. This was cool. So I actually freed me up mentally to go, okay, don't think about anything like that. Just be home. This is great. I'm never actually consistently home like this. I'm never actually home. I'm home a lot. I've gone a lot, home a lot, but I never know when I'm going to be home, which is kind of confusing, but things pop up. And like I said, he say yes to stuff. And like, oh, there's a show in Dallas that's coming in 2 weeks that popped up because somebody fell out, or like stuff like that. So, and I was kind of on call with him for the type of style. So now I'm like, oh man, I know nothing's happening all month long. Like this is crazy. So we started doing all kinds of fun family things. And at the time, financially, nothing had changed just yet. Mm-hmm. We didn't have gigs coming, but we also weren't going to have gigs coming anyway. So financially, I wasn't too concerned just yet. So I started going to the beach with my kids. We went camping. We started taking road trips. We went to Utah. We went to Santa Cruz. We went to Oregon.
Wow.
It was so fun.
You were like taking full advantage, which is awesome. For sure.
Yeah. Because I love my family and the kids, and I don't always get this much time. So that's one of the benefits of COVID. One of the blessings is my baby is she's a year. She'll be 2 in February. And I've never had this much quality time with I have 3 kids, with any of them this consistently at this age. So it's been really, really cool. So she's, just walking age and starting to babble and all that stuff. So I've been in and out during this time, a month here, a day here, a week here, blah, blah. But I'm just like home with her, like where she just wakes up and expects to see me like every single day. So that's been really cool. So we try to take advantage of that. And we did stuff that was cheap. Like I said, we did road trips that were to old friends and family we knew in different areas of the Northwest.
You don't have to make it fancy. Road trips are enough of a memory builder and just at each other's throats all the time.
Yeah, and then like a lot of people, again, not intentional, but we got a dog, right? When all this drama happened too. And I was like, oh, we get a dog, don't get a dog. And then we were like, nah. And then like my wife's like, well, maybe now's a good time, man. He's not doing too much because the baby coming. And then somebody blessed us with a dog, just gave us this most amazing Rhodesian Ridgeback. It's so cool. So we were like, okay, we're not going to say no to this awesome dog. But this dog, for those who know dogs, they get pretty big. I got 3 kids and family and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, man, I got to train the mess out of this dog, especially if I'm going to be going soon. I'm like, I'm going to be flying, doing that kind of thing again. So I need to be spending some time with this dog. And then turns out I got all the time in the world. And so this dog is whipped into shape, let me tell you.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but it was because the timing was good. The timing was good, and I was able to be home and like I started doing stuff I never had. Like a routine was kind of nice. I get up, walk the dog, do this, that, you know. So I was really enjoying it initially. So to go back to your question, like initially it was like no problems, things are cool. In fact, this is great. I got so much positive time on my hand. And then I get a call from our tour manager. Hey, this is canceled. Hey, they're pushing that back to August. Okay, now it got canceled. Okay, they're moving that thing to September. Okay, now that got canceled. And you're like, oh, man.
Then you started to feel a little bit more of the, where is this going? It looks like, you know, round 2 of shutdowns are happening. What am I going to do?
Yeah. And luckily, my wife had a part-time thing that she was able to push more of because I was home and it was summertime. Mm-hmm. So she's like, I'll just push harder during the summer. And that's pretty much what we did, and that worked out. But now we're at a new phase of problems in life where school is being forced upon us to do here at home. And she's a teacher herself, an ex-teacher. And so she's naturally good at it, but she can't continue to work hard at her part-time gig that she was doing and thriving in and be teaching the kids at the same time. And so, yeah. And then I don't know about the rest of y'all, but that unemployment check drama just did not really come through like it says it would for me. So, and that's been a headache for those, and I'm sure there's plenty of people listening to this who are in that, sitting in that seat where you're like, there's nobody to call. There's nobody responds back. Like it says this can give you X amount of dollars. Like I got $58 last week. 58, that's like a joke.
It's hard. It is hit hard, and especially because we are recording this episode now. We are in Christmas week. And you know, we're kind of in this like spikes in COVID cases and, you know, the extremes with the governments and everything like that. So, but as somebody within the profession, within the creative industry, so you're a musician, you create, you like help writing music, and you guys go and travel, and that stuff is shut down. Are you guys anticipating a next step? What is that going to look like?
Yeah, it's really crazy because my creative outlet as an artist was a little bit different, I think, than some. I just started tapping into the writing music and producing stuff for myself recently. In fact, that was one avenue that I was getting into near the end of that last tour, knowing that I would have some downtime with that baby coming. That I was like, you know, something I've always wanted to do, something I probably should have been doing much earlier, a creative muscle I probably should have been flexing earlier. So I started calling other songwriters and planning things out. And it was working out fine initially before the COVID thing. Like, let's do some writing sessions and work on my production chops and all these things, because I feel like I've been around long enough now to know what a good song sounds like. I've been around amazing songwriters. So that was my goal. That was the direction I was headed in. And with the intention of like, man, maybe I can pick and choose how I want to tour in the future, where I could be home more and be doing more production stuff. And I was able, so my creative outlet before COVID was actually the stage show, like the actual show. That's one of the things that a lot of artists rely on me for, was putting on a good show, not just the audio, but actually visually as well. And then just making it flow and something. So it was a big shock for me when I was like, I got nothing now. Because like there's no shit. Like I'm a performer. Before anything else, before a songwriter, before a producer, before my natural gift that comes out without much thought is a performer. So my performance was just like, let it go. So
you know what? But that's the one thing that I've loved to see, and even within myself too. We were just talking about what I'm up to nowadays, and be forced into having to tap into things that you didn't really have to think about because you already had something solid. But then at the same time, it's like you have to pivot. COVID happened. It's affecting your world. And then all of a sudden you find this resilience in you that surprises you, that surprises yourself. So you who didn't do the producing that much or writing that much before, now you're doing it.
Yes and no. So, the reality is, I mean, I'm not, one thing you'll get from me is real. So I'm not going to BS nobody. But yes, unfortunately, because of the because of COVID and the family dynamic,
Yeah.
it made it really, really hard. It makes it really, really hard for me to stop because, like some of you guys know, when you're getting your feet wet with producing it, songwriting, there is zero money involved, at least not that I know of initially, right? Until you get things going. So my goal was to get catalogs going and hopefully get some placements and with artists or with TV shows or something, which is still kind of a dream. That stuff takes like just grunt work of getting in time. It takes time to get that thing done, right? It takes like, hey, I'm going to go hide in the studio and create something that may be nothing, right? I'm going to go work on something for 8 hours and it might actually be jacked. Right. So trying to find those hours when there's no safety net of an income is really scary when you have a family. So I went through these phases where I got kind of bummed and slightly depressed that watching my other friends who didn't have the same responsibilities that are like, I got time. I'm being creative. I'm over here writing songs, listen to my Instagram, like throwing up all these Instagram posts of blah, blah, blah. This is what I'm doing. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
You're like, yeah, good for you.
3 healthy, organic eating kids. And
right.
So on one hand, I kind of I didn't even push that creative side for a while because it was like, it didn't feel fair to just be away from the house and not doing anything. And then there was also the fear of like some songwriters didn't want to connect anymore because of COVID and all that. Social distancing and stuff too.
Sure.
But that being said, yes, I am still trying to work on the music production thing, but it can't be, the time I get to put into it is pretty pathetic.
I mean, but nobody can blame you for that because you do have a family that you are now helping with because you have all this time. Like your kids are being homeschooled now and they're still young. They're still so young. Yeah. Add in a dog on top of that, but yeah. So you work with what you can.
Yeah.
But still, you said it before, like the good that came out of COVID is the time that you got to spend with your family.
Oh yeah, it's been beautiful, and I wouldn't take that back. So I'm not mad. A lot of people are really mad at 2020, and hopefully this encourages somebody, but I'm really not mad at 2020 at all, and I hope everybody else can find a way to see that. There's things to be mad at within 2020 for sure. But there's also so much to be found, so much silver lining, so much time that I feel like if we get through this year and you didn't take the time, because now you have the time to reflect and to go inward and like work on yourself and work on your relationships and work on your family connections and work on communication, whatever it is. I definitely needed this year to stop and do that. Like I spent a lot of time digging in and soul searching and I got the time. I don't know. So for some people who like, there's no excuse. 2020 gave you no excuse to not grow in some aspect, and not just creative wise, but spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Like there was definitely no excuse to not have grown. So I thank 2020 for that, for sure. Because I've definitely grown, and I hope maybe in 2021 everybody can see my growth. Whether they see it or not, I feel it, and my family feels it. So that's what it's all about.
So what was that like then? Like you said, growth, like personal, internal growth.
Yeah.
That's it. That's also been kind of the motto for this year because the mental toll that it's taken on everybody and just the stress of everything. How has it helped you personally? Like what's your method?
I will, by all means I will share. Yeah, I've been Lord. I feel like you have to, everybody's personality type's differently. For instance, my wife is pretty positive at all times, doesn't need to like talk herself into anything. She's good to go.
Bless her.
I've gone through ups and downs too, and felt like with this whole thing, and like I said at the beginning, like who am I? What do I even do? What do I even have to offer? What's my motivation? So I've been going in deep. Like I spent a lot of time. I started reading a lot of books, listening to a lot of podcasts. I currently wake up because I had the time. I was like, I'm gonna wake up at the crack of dawn. For me to do anything around my house, it has to be early. Yeah. For the people who have kids, they'll know that like you can't just like leisurely get up and then read a good book. It's just not gonna happen. So my current routine, and for the most part, I've been hitting it this entire time, is like by 5:30, I'm awake. and meditating. Usually I spend like 10 minutes meditating with that Headspace app. It's great, by the way. The Headspace app is incredible. Highly recommended. And then I'll like do some reading. A couple months ago, I was like trying to get some practice in a little bit before, but all the stuff I was trying to do before like 7:30 before the kids, get up and start wreaking havoc. So I've been spending a lot of time podcasting, trying to stay in surrender to God and to my higher power about like, this is what I got. There's nothing you can do about it. Everybody wants to have control of the situation.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like a daily surrender of that control, a daily surrender, and a daily reminder that I'm more than just this. So I went through that phase too, which I think a lot of people I'd imagine did as well. They're like, okay, I'm not that. What am I? Like, I can't even say like some of the stuff you were saying about me. I'm like, I am none of those things because I'm literally not doing any of those things, right? So, but then the daily spiritual practices for me have been helping me remember who I am before all that. Like I'm the light of God before all of that other stuff, right? And so I've been going in on sources of material that help with that type of thing. Like Ted Dekker, anything by Ted Dekker is an incredible writer. So there's a great book called The Forgotten Way, which is good, just helping you remember who you are before all these other things. So that's the kind of stuff I've been into, and it's been really helpful. So I feel like nothing is creatively, even I've been slowed down just because of the lack of time. Financially, just pure caca. But emotionally and spiritually, so much growth has happened within myself because I've had the time. So like, and that takes time. And I have to remind myself this every day. Like, we are loved just the way we are, without being a musician, without being, the best, whatever, before you produce, before you even a father, you're just loved just where you are, So a lot of that kind of stuff, which I think if the whole world's working on these things, it's going to make 2021 a better place anyways. And everybody's going to have a lot more love because there's so much division right now with all this COVID and politics and that. And
I know.
And I'm all for everybody having their own opinion. That's what America is, right? But when there's zero love in the middle, like zero, it's just such a divide that that hurts me. And the more you get into yourself and trying to be egoless, you can have an opinion and have no ego behind it still. Like, you can have an opinion and love. I don't know. It's just like, I'm a Christ follower, and there's just no way that's how he would get down in 2020.
I agree with you 100%. And, the most interesting thing, and I think the most beautiful thing, is you saying exactly that. You coming back and reflecting on how you are enough and you are loved and you are so much more than the things that you have done. And that is huge. Like,
yeah, it's huge right now.
Huge because we might say it superficially, but to be thrusted into this position where things are like taken from you to an extent, like me having to start over in a sense. I'm 31 thinking like I'm too old to even attempt stuff like that. You coming back to I'm a family man, I'm a musician, and now my world is kind of like, what's going to happen? And you're coming back to that and remembering the biggest, most valuable thing, which is you are loved. Your life has so much value.
But you have to force it though. You really have to force it. Like, the one thing that another gift that I do have is discipline. So I can be like, this is what I'm going to do. And then this is what I'm going to do. This is what I have to be disciplined to do. So I force myself to do it. And because it has to be a daily reminder. And I think now with all this drama and the negativity around you, you have to put the time in. Even that's 5 minutes a day, breathing. I've been doing these Wim Hof breathing methods. So cool. Just inhalation, exhalation, just cool stuff. And then you'll feel your perspective change. That's stuff that I hope to carry on forever, no matter what I am, what I'm doing, because I see the benefit for my family and just making me more present, being more aware, awareness, presence, mindfulness. All these words are just like, I'm really trying to put them into practice. Words that we heard and hear as we went through life, but now you can like really think about them. I mean, to actually be aware and to be mindful and to be present when people are talking, when you're listening, like all of that stuff that you kind of fly through life learning, but you don't. Right. That's the stuff that like, well, I got time to work on that. So that's what I've been doing.
it's kind of beautiful how, like how you're saying, through life we accept it. It's good lessons to learn, but when you feel it for yourself, like I feel like I've had many moments like that, many moments of having to recognize, oh, this is what healing means. Like, oh, this is what it means to accept myself. Oh, this is, because I'm having to face it.
And it can be sobering. The first couple months for me in COVID was pretty like bummed out about the shittiness that I am. And
Relatable. Totally relatable. I get it. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like I'm gonna throw out a downer vibe to this whole thing, but I hope that it's real for a lot of people too.
For sure. Let's keep it real. I can keep it real with you 100.
Okay, good. Because when you start to go into yourself and you realize how egotistical you were living your life, perhaps, you had time to think, process. I was like, how was I when I was on tour? Was I cool to hang out with? Was I really cool? Or was I superficial? Or was I blah, 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 And those stuff, you start to think about those things and you go like, ugh, I'm a terrible person. You can go there for a moment, and that's all right. But it takes work to get out of that too, right? To get out of that and go, well, then who am I? Yeah, I'm pretty crappy if I just rely on Zach. If I use if I'm trying to run my life, I forget who said it this way, a good friend of mine. But if I try to run my life just based on this meat suit that I'm carrying, that are around my body, then in this brain, then I'm going to be a wreck, right? So if you start to live your life directed by the soul and the spirit of who you are, that's what I'm trying to get to. Because I'm like, oh man, the inner guy makes way better decisions than this guy here, and just reacts better, and is a better listener, and it's sweeter to his wife, and just all the things. And those things, I know, I feel like I can't make investments into other things, but I can make investments into that right now.
Oh yeah. And in the long run, I think it's the ultimate investment.
Yeah. And when you have kids, you can see that, because you're like, they're watching me.
Exactly. For your family. And even, you were bringing up your wife and her positive mindset and everything. Has she made comments to you like, wow, I'm noticing that you're just more relaxed, or I'm noticing that you're more present, or anything?
You would think it would be that sweet. But again, if we keep it real,
let's keep it real.
It's funny because it's like one of those things where you pray for patience, and then God puts somebody in your face that pisses you off and is annoying the out of you. You know what I mean? So if I'm praying for peace and calm and blah, 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 and then my wife, who's like this crazy ball of energy, is like flying around me, and I just want to be so pissed off. So it's been fun, because we've learned a lot, and our relationship is growing and continues to grow through this too, because we're realizing how we deal with stuff differently. We've never been, and anybody who has someone close to them, family member, husband, wife, spouse, rarely has there been a time in our life where we have gone through something difficult together, like consistently. Like some people have died at times in our lives, but this is like not stopping. Like it's just compounding crap, and then to have to live with somebody, and she deals with it way different than I deal with it. So yes, I think if you asked her, she would say, oh yeah, I've seen a change in him. I feel like, oh, I'm just hard on myself. I'm like, it's not as fast, it's not as good as I want it to be. But she would definitely sense, she appreciates the strive for those things, and she definitely knows that I'm striving for those things. So yes.
That's beautiful. I know it's a testing ground even for married couples.
Oh God. I mean, I know many couples who have just never had to spend this much time, and they're like, my wife or my husband is driving me crazy. My partner's, I'm going to, I get it.
You're able to get through this. Pretty sure you can get through most things that life is going to throw at you. So, but then there's like that unity that comes after it. I always feel like if I have some hard, like, conflict, I don't know if I want to call it conflict, but just like the hurdles that you have to get through on the other side of it, you just feel stronger. You just feel like, or your skin got a little bit thicker. And so it all works out in the end.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I know so. I'm also at a place where I want to keep pursuing musical things, but some of those things take a little bit of time and growth process. So like, how do I get some money coming in right now? Like right now. So I've been like open to doing whatever. That's a new thing too for me, just completely being like, okay, I'm surrendering to whatever I'm supposed to be doing right now. Like what I'm down. Do I need to go, am I supposed to be a carpenter? But then maybe I'm supposed to get into carpentry. I don't know. That I'm not exactly. I'm just saying that's some thoughts I've had, but I don't know. I'm in a weird place. This is causing everybody to be in a strange mindset. Some people I think are all the more focused on their thing because they have the ability to do so. But with a family, it's a little bit different. It's weird. It's definitely weird.
Well, what about Mr. Grammer? What has he commented on the subject?
Yeah, he's been pretty busy. He has a new baby. He's got 2 little girls now, so he's been busy. We were in contact more at the beginning, now less and less. He seems to be doing, I say seem because I haven't spoken to him in a while, but he seems to be doing pretty good through social media. In fact, last time I talked to him, he was like, well, I guess Zach, I'm a professional TikToker now, so that's what I do. So, and he even like
you get on TikTok, by the way. I would highly recommend it.
Okay. So yeah, he's going pretty hard at video content, just because it's kind of the only thing he can do right now. But I think it's literally paying off for him. That amongst other video things are paying off for him, so that's cool. He also, being the songwriter that he is, he has his songs in other placements as well. So I know that's going well for him as well. So I know he's got to be feeling the hurt and I know that because it's trickled down to us. He used to have us on a retainer. He had to let us all go off the retainer. So I know that he's feeling that as well. But I think he's being able to maintain. Honestly, I haven't talked to him in a while, but he seems to be still moving forward as much as possible. I know he did say that like he's still writing songs, but even if he was in this weird place for him as a great songwriter, like even if I find something that I think is magic, do I even want to release it? Like real artists, they got to go tour.
Yeah.
They have to, unless you're like crazy already got that much and you're okay. Maybe a Taylor Swift, she just put out that new album and maybe she doesn't have to tour on it, and her name alone, or maybe there's be enough Spotify plays where it actually brings some residual back for her. But for most artists, you have to, the only way to really get some good money is to get out there and do work on that song or on that single or that album or whatever. And I know for Andy, because our shows were kind of everything. Like he's really good at performing as well. That's his bread and butter, I'd say too. And he's like, why would I put something out if I can't even promote it? Like normally we would go to different radio shows and, that's a weird place to be in too, where you're like, I think I got a magical song, but I don't want to give it away yet because I can't do anything. And like, it's not going to help me bring any income if I put it out there now, So that's interesting because then I have a lot of younger artists, though, friends who are just putting stuff out because they have the time. Yeah. So that's cool too, right? Because they're putting in their work. And I know Andy's continually writing, but as far as like releasing stuff, if you've noticed, he hasn't released anything in a while, and I think he's kind of trying to wait and see if I release this, can I go do work with it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a funny time and interesting to hear what's happening on his end and everything. He also seems like I've heard him on a couple of podcasts, and he seems like a super down to earth type of guy. So I can see you guys working well.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like it's the same kind of vibes. I've never spoken to him obviously in person, but just from the way that he talks and the stories that he's told, it seems like it makes sense that you guys just were brought together to work together and to perform together. So praying that concerts are able to be a thing again.
Yeah.
That shows start again.
And I think I've talked to other artists, other like sideman musician types too. They're like, the artists that I work with, I don't know if they're going to need me again for a little while. Like they've figured out how to do this solo thing now because they've had to, right? So you don't feel as needed, which is a little scary as well. So that's a feeling. Just throwing that out there because in case that relates to somebody as well.
It's all of us. Like at what point does everything become, there's no need for us in that way, quote unquote, right? Mm-hmm. Even plenty of businesses that have had to do mass layoffs, they're not going to bring these people back. They're figuring out how to cut where they can. Mm-hmm. But what does that do? Stir up the resilience in people.
Yeah.
Figuring out, okay, I can't do this, so what else am I good at?
Right.
Time to start over. At least there's family to support you. You have love there, which is, at the end of the day, that's all that matters, because we take nothing with us when we die.
Yeah.
And as morbid as that sounds, it takes the pressure off. I feel like when I think about it in that way, like when I'm out for a specific goal or success and I'm beating myself up because I just feel like I'm not smart enough, I can't get it. I remember like I still have the important things. My faith, my family, love. Ultimate, that's the only thing.
Yeah, that's true. It really doesn't matter after that. But just cool that this has given us the time to try to put those things back in the right alignment, right?
Yeah. Well, that's a good way of putting it. That's the right alignment. Priorities back into their proper spot.
Yeah. I feel like we just kind of push through like can't see on my hands, but you just kind of push through life like this.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're like ducks in the wind, if everybody's just spread out in a straight line, there's like a lot of resistance. But if you get the things lined up right, then there's that positive wind resistance for it, like, and that's how I feel too, that this is giving everybody the time to like, yeah, I got this and this and this and this, and you're pushing. But if we put everything where they should be prioritized and lined up correctly, then the flow will actually be there. So that's what I'm trying to do. We're
all trying. We're all in the same boat.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope everybody's actually putting that time into to find those, things and line them up right.
At the end of the day, you're still doing it. You're still waking up every single day at 5:30 in the morning. Crazy. Yeah. And maintaining that discipline. So you have your faith. I can't wait to follow and see where God is going to take you with Grammar, with your own thing, with your family. It's an opportunity at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I don't know what musically, some of the dreams I have, I think you were going to ask this question, so I'll answer it now. For 2021, like, God, I don't know. So on one hand, I'll tell you what I have musical hopes for. And on the other hand, I'm like so down to do anything else. Like not even musical, if that's the case. So on one hand, I'm like, for instance, I got buddies who have some other companies that do totally different things. I'm like, man, maybe I need to try that. All right, so let me say this. I feel blessed and that I've been to all the 50 states. I've been to every continent, like except Antarctica. Nobody need to play music in Antarctica. And it's been really, really blessed and honored and thankful and like humble that I've even been able to do this, which was just given to me, to go and do all. So if I had to hang up my music hat today, if this COVID thing is due to my family situation and all the things, I don't want to come across as a giving up, but if for some reason that's what needs to happen, I'm totally at peace with having to do that if I had to, which is crazy for me to even say, right?
That's big.
But I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
But I think nonetheless, I think that's a good place for you to be internally, spiritually at all times, right? And that takes some time of being like, I think I'm this, but hey, I'm down to give all this up if I need to go do something else, right? And so that's taken me a little bit of COVID months to get to that place, right? But that's where I'm at. So like, hey, if this is what you're telling me, God, that I did that thing, you killed it, you did your best at it, time to go do that, right? Then I'm like, okay, then that's it. So that's that. But what I would like to do too, if possible, was what I started to feel I was kind of dabbling with and starting to go like, what do I like, what do I not like? And then COVID killed it all. But was the music production stuff. So I'm still, there's an artist in Santa Cruz. She's this young girl. She's incredible. Her name is Emma Valentine. She was on The Voice last year. She came to me and wanted me to help produce like an EP for her. So we started doing that, and then COVID slowed us way down, but now we're ramping back up to get it finished, even from a distance. So I'm working on that. So that was really cool when it kind of came back on, like, okay, continue to do this stuff, continue to work on it. So that's on the radar. That's something I really enjoy doing. I really like working with young artists and trying to get them going. That's one thing I would like to continue doing, is work on music production for artists. And songwriting, I really, really enjoy too. So I was just starting to get into the songwriting thing, just get that bug going. And with the hope and the goal that things get placed, or an artist needs it, or a commercial needs it, or whatever. So that's still something, but those things, I need time, and you need to put in that work. So I was starting to really put in that work, which I finally got over myself and my fears enough to do that, and to suck that up and do that. And then all this happened. So I want to get back to that. Another goal I have for 2021 musically is something else that I just started to dabble into, and I really wanted to push, is being a music director for more folks, and for being a music director for more people at once at the same time. So I got good friends doing it. Yeah, so a couple of the artists I know too, and friends that I have, John Witt, other different guys who are doing their thing, but are helping artists and then setting up their show and then sending them on their way. So that's a beautiful little niche that I would love to tap into, and I've done a little bit of it. And so I'm trying to promote like a music directing kind of company, I guess that would be, where, hey, let's say V has a band and she wants it to sound good because she's got a live show that she's about to do next month for all these possible donors or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'd help you do whatever it takes to get that show as professional, just to level it up as best as possible, right? Based on the experience that I've had and the mistakes, predominantly the mistakes that I've made. Don't do this, do this instead.
Right.
That's what I want to, I'm getting to the point in my life and in my career where I want to share that. Like, hey, don't do this on that show, do this instead. Otherwise that's going to happen. You don't want that to happen. You're going to get yelled at, right? So
that's the stuff, that's like the invaluable stuff, right? That's why there are now coaches sprouting out everywhere and giving that, like, trying to bypass the mistakes that are commonly made.
Yes.
Now you can give that.
Yeah. So that was the goal, was to try to do that and make it a company where I'm helping level up people's production for their show, you know, in all aspects, whatever that looks like. So I'm still working on that. In fact, currently my website is being prepped to lean more towards that. Not just Zach, the bass player, not just Zach with Andy Grammer, but Zach on my own with the music direction, kind of company vibe, to try and get more artists to need my help to see their show off. So, and I was looking forward to it, because I was like, oh, 2021, we'll get all these artists who've got shows to do, and everybody's like, oh.
Well,
So that's still something because I would love to have a team of people like-minded who can help get bands out there and going. Another friend of mine who's like my idol in this is that's funny, he plays for American Idol. It's Chris Pooley. Also would be amazing for you to podcast with. Chris Pooley. Yeah, these guys are like way at the top of their game. So I'm like just this little fish. But this guy,
not even
big shark. But Chris Pooley, he gets to be home, which is a beautiful thing. Play with artists if he likes. He's on American Idol, so that's cool. He's the music director and plays keys for American Idol. But one thing that I went and hung out with him, and one thing that I gleaned from him, which was so cool and something I wanted to do, was he's at home, but he's music director for Katy Perry, music director for Bjorn, music director for, like, it was just crazy list of people. And I was like, wait, you can do that? And he's like, oh yeah, I have a cool relationship with them. And they say, hey, we're doing a tour. We want to help put these songs together. Can you help do this? And even do it from a distance and send me on my way, which was really cool. So like Katy Perry's last tour was music directed by him while he stayed at home in LA.
All the things that come up that you had no idea. But you know what? You should really be on TikTok. Especially, I
just give you this whole spiel that you just say I should be on TikTok. That's what you gained from all that?
Listen, I only say that because you want to work with young up-and-coming artists, and there's this whole community on TikTok with these young kids who are amazing talents that you would never know about had they not just like played around with TikTok and stuff like that. And you can just market yourself in that way. I don't know. My head just like went there, like, oh my God, he needs.
See, that's why I need your help.
That's why you need my help. Just work with me. I got you.
All right.
Well, there's a lot to look forward to in 2021 from what it sounds like. Even with just the ideas, you never know which one's going to stick, which one you're going to roll out, and the people and all the things that you're going to end up doing. It's still very much in the unknown on all ends, but it's exciting. I think another thing that's been really cool is I've been seeing how people are so willing to help each other. So willing.
Which is cool, because I think that as society as a whole, on a mass thing for our entire globe, is people are going to start realizing, and people were already getting to this vibe, but like even head bosses are like starting to look out wide as opposed to just like straight up, just look out and see like, oh yeah, who does work next to me? oh, how am I been treating that person? Or like, you got time to look left and look right. And so I have some friends who are heads of companies, and they're like taking this time too to do that and go like, oh, this person is really valuable, or I really need this. Like, let's do less bossing and more like, spread style of leadership. So I think that is on the way. I know that's something Andy had been working on himself too, was just being more of that style of leader.
I love it. Okay, well, how about you tell everybody where they can find you on your socials so that they can stay.
Okay. I need to get on TikTok. Actually, I opened up TikTok account and but I'm gonna get on it for V.
Yes.
But otherwise, ZachRudolph.com can get you to pretty much everything. It's Zach Rudolph. You can spell it wrong and it'll still had to buy both the domains because everybody's gonna spell it wrong. But cool. RUDULPH or RUDOLPH, you'll get to either one. So Zach Rudolph. Zach on Bass is a lot of my social media, and Zach on Bass will send you back to Zach Rudolph. Zach Rudolph on Instagram, Facebook. It's all under my name. It's all under my name. And perfect. So if you spell it wrong, it should still direct you.
That's pretty smart. Either way, for everybody listening, I will include that information right down below. But this has been really fun. I'm so glad that you and I got to connect again. And, one of the positive sides of COVID is that it has brought people together and been able to give us this time. So I'm grateful for it. And I loved having you on. Thank you for coming on so much.
Thanks, B.
I love it, right? The trademark. Okay. For all you lovely people, thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. This is going to be the last episode of 2020. There we go.
Bye-bye, 2020. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Gotta go.
That's to go. Love everybody. Love everybody, sending loves, and I will keep you posted on what's coming next. Stay tuned. Follow this guy, support, show him love. He's awesome. Just a cool dude all around and got plenty to offer. Any music people out there, hit him up.
Thanks, V.
Love y'all. Peace.
So sweet.
Yeah, you the model, the lawyer, the stewardess. Yeah. You the doctor, the dentist, you doing it. That's why they scared of your beauty.